THCA, that's right now, that's the biggest opportunity if you want to get into this space because there's no barrier to entry.
How would a person? What would be like steps to
To
like
start at the
yeah
THCA
to
delivery,
start the THCA delivery business?
you get a laptop, you get a phone, you get a vehicle. You can order from a variety of THCA vendors online that will ship straight to your doorstep. I would first start off with flour because flour is going to be the bulk of your sales, especially if you have a limited budget. So you don't need to go get flour, vape cartridges, edibles, waxes. Just start off with flour. Flour is going to always be your bread and butter. Flour is going to be 50 to 60% of your sales, even if you have all of those other product categories. Start off
Right.
with flour, get you 2, 3 different flavors, maybe a sativa, a hybrid, an indica. You usually want more indicas and hybrids because those are usually more popular. Through the 2018 Farm Bill, cannabis is federally legal. THCA and THC is the same exact thing. It's cultivated the same, it's harvested the same. There's no difference. The only difference is how it's labeled by the testing facilities. THCA is the precursor to THC. That means any type of psychoactive cannabis is THCA.
Right.
Same exact thing. There's zero difference at all. It's not cut earlier, nothing. There's not some type of magical growing technique.
Yeah, I heard that one too. It was like it was cut before it cured or something like that.
No, because then it wouldn't. If you cut the flower early, then it's not gonna reach its full potential and get all the cannabinoids and terps and stuff like that.
Right.
So you would be doing more damage to the flower if you cut it early, because
Right.
it would be not fully matured.
Right. So that wouldn't even be THCA.
It would be less THC
Right.
if you cut it early, or there would be less THCA. So it's not cut early. There's zero difference. It's the same exact things. They already legalized THC. So that's why this is the greatest opportunity if you are a trapper, if you're looking to get into this industry. Because with $10,000, you can start a THCA delivery service in your hometown, or you can continue what you're currently doing, but now you have something that's called COAs that's going to protect you in the instance of law enforcement coming and saying that you're doing something illegal. No, you have COAs that can show that, hey, this is within the confines of the 2018 Farm Bill that was signed in by Donald Trump, that made hemp federally legal.
In our first 2 episodes with Neo Cannabis, we talked about not only the Telegram boom of the current cannabis age, as well as how the Chinese nationals have really invaded some of these major growing states like Oklahoma and Maine. In this episode, man, we're going to talk about how the Armenians back in 2021, 2022 may have been the cause of one of the biggest price drops, as well as how currently trappers and people with entrepreneurial spirits could take advantage of this current boom of the THCA delivery and e-commerce services. There was still a debate between this whole THCA situation.
Yeah.
Some people in the comments, they agree with you. The A falls off when the heat, you know what I'm saying? They kind of see that, but then some people was seeing it from my side, where it was like, man, I tried it before and it's just not the same as, say, the black market or what I get on the street.
Cannabis is already federally legal. Let me say it one more time. Cannabis is already federally legal. So people were saying, oh, I can't wait until cannabis is legal. I can't wait till weed is legal. until it's federal, until that the feds legalize it. It already happened in 2018 due to the 2018 Farm Bill. Underneath the 2018 Farm Bill, they allowed for hemp, the legalization of hemp. Anybody that understands what hemp is the same is the similar plant to cannabis. You know what I mean? So people who are like debating like THCA is two different things. It's the same exact thing. It's easily accessible. If you ask any grower, there's no difference in the growing process and the cultivation process, the harvesting of the plant. The only difference is how it's labeled and how it's marketed and how the labs manipulate the testing. Well, it's not even really manipulating it, but how the labs label the testing of THCA and THC, because THCA is the precursor to THC. When it's
Right.
heated, the A component falls off and it turns into THC. So therefore, all weed that is being smoked is THCA weed.
Right.
It's
So
the
when
same
does
thing.
like
Yeah.
question? So if, like,
Uh-huh.
let's say you grab your 3-5 off the street,
Mhm.
and that's it used to be THCA, but now it's THC when it's in the bag. What was the process by which the THC became THC before I smoked it, as opposed to THCA that becomes THC like at the same time as me smoking it?
So repeat that one more time.
Okay, so like if I was to buy, say a quantity of cannabis from the street,
Correct.
and that quantity would be THC without the
Correct.
A.
Hmm.
What is the process that changes that street level from THCA to THC before I smoke it, as opposed to the THCA that the A doesn't fall off until I smoke it? Do you see what I'm saying?
There's no difference. That's a you. People are confusing themselves.
So that means that the street level is THCA as
If
well.
if you just look at it like this, if you were to eat weed, you're not gonna get high.
Right.
It has to get heated for it to become psychoactive.
Absolutely. Okay. So
The
that
same
means when I
concept, yeah.
buy the street level, that's also
It's the
THCA.
same thing. It's so when people say that weed is still federally illegal, it's not. It's legal.
Right.
It's the same thing whether you want to say it's THCA or the THC weed that you buy from the street or from the dispensary. It's all the same thing. There's no difference in the cultivation process. It's only how it is labeled from the lab once it gets tested, all the COAs and things like that.
Okay. So again, what was the threshold? I remember you said this last episode, but what was
Mhm.
the threshold for THCA? Because basically what you're saying is that all cannabis flower is THCA, but once it crosses a certain threshold, then it's not THCA anymore, because that has like a threshold of like the psychoactive drug in it, correct?
0.3.
Right. So if it was above that, then that's like probably what we would consider street level THC.
No, so with the farm bill, hemp, hemp. So hemp and cannabis are the same thing. It's the
Okay.
same plant. But hemp underneath the farm bill is defined as any type of cannabis that is less than 0.3 THC percentage by dry weight.
Okay.
But this only accounts to active THC, not THCA.
Okay.
So really all the grower needs to do is they grow it, they test it, and then they just show that it's less than 0.3% THC on the test.
And then that would consider it legal THCA flower.
Correct.
Okay.
They
So
show the
like,
they show the THCA percentage as 20-30%. It's the same thing. Just like when you go to a dispensary and they show the THC percentage as 30%.
yeah,
And then they show you sometimes I think they show the THCA percentage too. And it'll be
I've
like
seen that. I know what you're talking about. I've seen it where it's
they're just
both.
flipping it. That's all they're doing.
So I guess my question is,
Yeah.
and this kind of came from the comments. This has
Mhm.
been a great conversation. Like with this episode 3,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Shout you out, man, Neo Cannabis. For those
Yes,
who
sir.
aren't currently following, go follow him on all social media, YouTube, run it up for him. We've been enjoying talking to him. We're seeing that in the comments, and I kind of had the question too, is like, so what's the difference? Like, why when I hit say good dispensary is that way, or good street is different than when I hit the THC?
It's the quality. I mean, if you're buying weed from a gas station, I mean, you don't know how long it's been sitting there. You don't know how they're storing it. You don't know where it's sourced from. There's a lot of factors that go into the quality. So, of course, if I buy it from a gas station, it could be a year or 2 years old. It's
That
just
makes
sitting on the
sense.
counter. The light is hitting it's cooking inside the bag. I mean, what do you expect? You don't even know who grew it or nothing.
Right. So
So yeah, of course, if you buy some weed from the gas station, it's like, what do you expect?
right. Okay. So I think that cleared it up. So basically, what you're saying is that there is no difference.
There's
The
no
real difference is whoever you're purchasing from, their growing techniques, their like treatment of the plant
expertise.
itself.
Yeah, their expertise, their scalability. Where are they growing it? How are they growing? Is it growing indoors, light depth, outdoor?
Right. And
Who
that's
is
and
who
that's
is
kind of what
growing it? What is the strain? It
right. And
all
that's kind of what you were saying. So basically the THCA is like bullshit strain,
it's just like
bullshit
if
techniques.
I were to grow indoor weed, I don't know nothing about growing indoor weed. It's not
Right.
gonna be good quality just because it's grown indoor.
Right. I get
There's
you.
people that can grow outdoor that's blows the quality of their weed is gonna blow some people that grow indoors out of the water. It
Okay.
doesn't matter. Indoor, light depth, outdoor. Like these are all just marketing tactics.
I get you.
THCA, THC, it's all marketing, it's all labeling. It's all the same thing though.
Right. I get you. That and now I
Yeah.
understand. That's cool. I appreciate that. Um So let's talk about. I know I saw you and Flocka had a podcast yesterday
Mhm.
where y'all talked about not only the Chinese nationals, but other, basically people from other countries, including the Armenians,
Yeah.
coming in and kind of muscling their way into the US cannabis industry.
Correct.
Just shit. Talk to me about that, bro. I don't know nothing about it. So
Yeah, you know what's interesting about the Armenians? You can't really find in cannabis. You can't really find too much information about them. You type in Chinese China or Chinese cannabis or Chinese weed, like you're gonna find so many drug buzz, different articles. It's like you don't. There's not really much information about them just on the internet. It's like more so you would have to have like a personal relationship or know Armenians in the game
right.
personally, or from you heard stories from like a third party, somebody else. So that's the interesting thing about them. It's like they stay really under the radar. The few times and the few interactions I've came in contact with Armenians. I remember one time I was at this event called Hall of Flowers, and this wasn't like the most recent time I went. This was like maybe like 4 years ago,
Okay.
and it was a dude. He was an Armenian dude, and this is crazy how full circle it is, because now how everybody's talking about the prices and how the Chinaman fucked up the game and stuff. This
Yeah,
was
it's
like,
out now. It's all
huh?
out now. I
Yeah,
said,
but this was
yeah.
like in this story that I'm telling. This was like from 2020 or 2021.
Okay.
Um, it was like some Armenian dude. We're like we're at the event just networking, talking to people, and this Armenian dude came up to us and he was like, "Oh, you guys own it?" Or we was just kind of chopping it up, and then we were saying like, "Oh yeah, we own a delivery service, this and that." He's like, "Oh really? I can get you whatever you want. Just name your price." Like he was just basically like just really like it was like he was like thirsty just to get our business. He's like,
Right.
"Yeah, I could get you this. It'll be this price." He was just saying like outrageous numbers. Like he was saying, "Yeah, I can get you ounces for like,
He wanted your business.
yeah, I can get you ounces for like $60 wholesale." Like at that time, that was like crazy, especially in the legal market. like $60 ounces where we would be able to sell them for like $100. Like that was it wasn't, and he was just like, yeah, I have like all these farms and we got all like this much square feet of grow and this and that. And he was just talking our ear off, and he was just like, yeah, man, when you're ready to do business, we can set you up and we're just gonna give you the best prices, this and that. So what I mean, like when I say like comes full circle, is because even back then, that was like when they was coming into the legal market in California, and they were starting to, starting to fuck up the prices. You know what I
Right.
mean? So yeah, that's the one of the few times like I actually firsthand came in contact with like an Armenian person. They were really aggressive. They was just like, really prideful. They're like a prideful race, you know what I
Right.
mean? Because if you study like history, and Flocka was talking about it, it's like they had to fight through like a lot of wars and things like that. So they're like really prideful, and he was just like talking these crazy numbers. Like even at that time, I was like, dude, how is this dude like able to like
How are
get
they able to do
wow,
this?
yeah, get product at these numbers, and and it was like I guess they were just like buying all this land, and he was saying they had all these greenhouses set up, and it was just like they
They
were
was
just
dumping
able
it.
to produce like crazy, ungodly amounts of quality of quantity.
What
So
was the quality like? Did you ever hear anybody
yeah,
who did
I
business
never
with him?
really followed up, but he was saying they mostly had like outdoor and greenhouse. Yeah.
Okay, so he was kind of saying it was like mid to
Yeah,
lower.
like mid, like lower quality type stuff. But yeah, I remember, like, I don't remember exactly, but I do remember like the prices at that time, like the things that he was saying. It was like, damn, that's some like crazy ass numbers. Like he was basically saying, like, name your price and we'll be able to work with you. You
Yeah,
know what I
we'll
mean?
figure it out.
Like
We have
he just wanted to get himself in the door. You know
right.
what I mean? And I had posted a clip of Rick Ross, like not the rapper, the drug dealer, and he was also saying that on Vlad TV, basically saying like the Armenians had came like 3-4 years ago and fucked up the prices. So it's just crazy how like kind of our stories kind of correlate, because that
Mhm.
was that interaction I just told you was like 3-4 years ago. And he was saying around 3-4 years ago, that's kind of like when the Armenians came into the California, into California, like the legal market,
Right.
and got licenses, fucking up the prices, probably backdooring packs, because that's what everybody does. That's what all these companies do. But and he was saying they were just taking market share. Vlad was also saying that too, but he was just saying they were taking market share and probably selling, breaking even, really just to
Just to
gain
get the
customers.
market
And
share.
that's really what the dude was willing to do for us. Like he was just trying to get his foot in the door. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right. So did you notice around that time? I mean, I know you saying that other people noticed. Did you notice around that time uh the prices start to go down? Like, is that around after you met that guy? All of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Shit was low, or was it you ain't notice it right away?
yeah, it was like it was like a gradual decrease, because when we first started in 2018, when I first started, like everything was like expensive, and you know, not only the black market side, but the legal side was expensive. Like I'm talking about pre-rolls, wholesale $7, Ace, depending on the quality, it could be anywhere from $15 to $30. And I'm talking about wholesale.
Right.
If it's a $30 eighth, with taxes and everything out the door, at least 70 out the door. So
Right.
that just gives you that just shows you how expensive things are. You talking about a $70 eighth. What is 70? So the customer, if they were to buy a pound, with nobody's buying a pound, but
By the eighth and shit.
let's just say they bought let's just say they bought an ounce. That's a $560 ounce.
Yeah. I remember when it was like that though. I
That's a
remember when
500. That's the price. That's what prices were on the legal
yeah,
market.
I
I
remember
can't
when it was
say
they used to call it the rapper weed.
the what.
Like they used to call it rapper weed. Like
Yeah,
it was a level above like loud and shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. That's for some of the top brands that we were selling. Like like of course, like the Connected, the Alien Labs. It was a couple other like small boutique brands that like They they specialize in having like small batch indoor. But
Mhm.
yeah, if you're buying that like the Alien Labs, the Connected, some of the cookie stuff, like and you're going to a dispensary at that time, you were spending 500 if you wanted to get a
So
zip.
what you think like the top brands, what is it going for now at the dispensary? And this the THC flower, like what's they going for now? Like
Um,
what's the price change?
they I haven't been to a dispensary lately. They're probably there. It's still going to be expensive at a dispensary. Anytime you're paying a premium because you're paying for the taxes, you're paying for the regulation, the testing. So it's still going to be expensive. You're probably still paying like 300-400, but a lot of these dispensaries aren't making it. So it's like in order to compete with the dispensary down the street is really just a price war. So they'll be willing instead of, back in the day, we were always trying to make like 100% margin. So if we
Right,
bought something for $30, we were already always trying to make sell it for 60 or sell
right,
even more, sell it for 65, 70. Dispensaries now, they may only because they're trying to compete, and I'm talking about specifically in California. I don't really know other markets, but I would assume probably New York. Like New York is having a lot of dispensaries come online, so that's where you see this price compression. And now dispensaries, they're probably only making 20-30% margin because they're trying to compete on price. And I always tell people, when you compete on price, it is a losing game. That's the worst
right,
situation you want to be in, is trying to say, the dispensary down the street, he's selling $40 indoor ace. I'm gonna do 35.
right.
Then guess what they do, or somebody else does? Oh, they selling 35 ace,
I'm gonna do
30
30.
$35 indoor exotic ace. So I'm gonna do 30.
Right,
Now it's 20. Now it's 10. Like it's a losing game. You're never gonna win. A lot of them are having, first time this. They're trying to do anything to get you into the door. They got you walk into a dispensary, 30% off. Oh, if you join our membership SMS group, another 10%. Like they're trying everything to get you into the door now, because it's not what it was all cracked up to be. Like
right,
it's not, I open a dispensary and become a multimillionaire overnight. It's not that easy. They thought it was the gold rush. They thought
right.
everybody was going to get rich, everybody was going to make unlimited amounts of money, but that's not what it is. Especially in California, especially in New York, a lot of these bigger markets, it's not what it's all cracked up to be.
Do you think the delivery service like the route you took, and I know some people right now are doing the TACA delivery, do you think that's like a better model maybe for right now?
That's a good question. I think delivery is where the future is headed. However, with delivery, there's a lot of, even with a dispensary, there's a lot of things that eat up into your margins, but delivery, it's there's a lot of, I would say you have less overhead, but there's a lot of unknown factors. Is
Right,
the worker going to show up
right.
that delivers all of my orders? If the worker doesn't show up that delivers my orders, who's going to do
Fuck
the
'em.
orders?
Yeah,
You
what the
better,
fuck am I
the
do?
owner, nigga, you better hop into the car.
Right,
But I speak to a lot of people. Oh, I'm never hopping in no car. Hell no. I would never do no deliveries. What if the worker doesn't? What if the worker crashes? Oh, what if they get it? What if they get a flat tire? What if the worker is stealing? What if workers are stealing from you and colluding? I've been in scenarios I've heard that never happened to me, but I've heard situations of where workers had inside criminal enterprises where they were literally stealing and like sucking the business dry. No, pause. Like literally just raking the profits, raking all the revenue from the business owner, just slowly,
that's
like
crazy.
just an inside criminal model. You know what I mean? Like an inside criminal enterprise where it's multiple employees working together to like suck the business dry, stealing products, stealing money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
that's nasty.
and with delivery, you know what I mean? You're not the face of the business. The driver is.
That's true.
Driver's the face of your business. when you own a dispensary, yeah, the bud tenders and things, but they still might see you if you're the owner. You know what I mean? Because you might pop in and things like that.
Right.
So it's like your customers will probably know who you are if you're the owner, even if you're not working a register and things like that. Because you can be more of a face of the business, but delivery, it's a little bit harder to brand. A dispensary is hard to brand as well, because if you don't have anything that separates you, from your competition, like you don't have a house brand, you don't have something that is not accessible, that is, or something that's only accessible at your retail location.
Right.
Any other dispensary can get cookies. Any other dispensary can get Alien Labs. Any other dispensary can get Stizzy. So it's like these brands are almost cannibalizing the industry, because all these dispensaries carry Stizzy, but Stizzy has their own dispensary too. So it's like
Right. I see what you're
and
saying.
Stizzy is the top vape cartridge in California, probably in America.
Okay.
So you're selling a competitor, because you pretty much have to, because they're the most important and they're the most bought vape cartridge. So you need them on your menu,
Right.
but you're also marketing them because they have their own dispensary, and you're never going to be able to compete at their price,
Right.
because
It's like you
they're the
marketing your
maker of the product.
competition. It's like you
Yeah,
marketing your
it's a
competition.
lot of inner workings. Like, it's almost like if Coca-Cola had their own stores everywhere, like their own gas stations.
Right. But then you still got to stock the Coca-Cola. It's like, man,
Yeah,
there's
and
no
then they also
winning.
got the Coca-Cola and other gas stations everywhere else.
Yeah, nah, there's no win to that. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
not if you're just a mom and pop dispensary, or if you're a mom and pop delivery service.
Facts. All
So
right. So
it's really
check.
it all depends on your situation, you know what I mean, and who you are as a business owner. You know what I mean? One is not better than the other.
Okay.
One, they both have their efficiencies, they both have their negatives. It just all depends on how you can best optimize it, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So check this out. Like last episode, we did the state tier system where we
Correct.
talked about like by state. There were some few people that kind of jumped in with a state. I think Nevada, but we talked about Nevada, but I think it was like Nevada, maybe Florida. It was a few states. I'm a fan the exact ones, but it was a few states that people said we missed out on. But I thought we made a good tier. I thought we made a good tier. There was a lot of people that commented on it. So I want to do that in a similar way, but in legal cannabis lanes. So, like, for instance, we just talked about, say, a delivery service versus a dispensary. Now, what about, say, a delivery service of THC versus a delivery service of THA versus like selling THA like in the smoke shops? Like,
Yeah.
I want to tear these things up. Like, where do you see the industry going? So I start first off with like the smoke shops that don't sell the THC, they only sell the THCA and like the Delta 8 stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you ever seen those type of smoke shops?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those are cool. How many different like tiers are there?
I mean, it's just, I'll let you decide that. But I mean, you know how it is. It's the low shit, the mid, the high.
I'll probably put that at the bottom. I
Right.
wouldn't.
So you don't see no like, so the guys that start those type of businesses is like, it's kind of stupid to do that.
I wouldn't say it's stupid, but I would say it's easier options.
Okay.
It's easier options.
Okay. Now, what about like the THCA?
Because with a smoke shop, it's like you have to pay for the real estate.
Right.
If you want to scale it, then now you have to open more stores. So that's where it can hinder you.
Okay.
Yeah, with the smoke shop, it's like you don't have to jump through, and you're doing THCA, you don't have to jump through all the regulations and things. Like I could go open a smoke shop tomorrow. Nobody can stop me from opening up a smoke shop.
Right.
compared to a dispensary. The city, you have to go through the city and you have to go through the state to open up a dispensary. And in some
Right.
cases, you literally can't even open one up if they don't want to grant you a license.
Right.
So
So I guess that is the benefit of the smoke shop. The small benefit would be
you
less
can move. Yeah,
regulation.
you're agile. You can move. You could you could get started today. It doesn't.
Right.
There's no barriers to entry.
Right. Okay. So like, what about the new thing I'm seeing, the THCA delivery? Do you think that that offers maybe a better competitive advantage?
Yeah, I would say that's better because you're not contracted. You're not cuffed to one region or to one city. That's why I think delivery is always superior than to a storefront retail.
Okay.
Because with a storefront retail, it's always going to be more overhead. And then also with that more overhead, you're subject only to that one location. And in most cases, it's only 15 to 30 miles of potential customers that you can reach,
Okay.
depending on your region. With smoke shops, they're easier to open up. So it can be a smoke shop every block. So now your potential customer reach is even smaller because now you're competing with more and more smoke shops. With a dispensary, usually they don't just unless you're in Oklahoma, they don't just allow anybody just to open up a dispensary anywhere you want. So usually you kind of have like a monopoly to a specific area, not even a
Right.
region or city. It's just like you have a radius, like a monopoly in a certain radius, because they don't just, in most cases, they don't just allow dispensaries to open up right across the street or right down the street.
Right. So like with the THCA delivery, you saying okay, that's a little bit higher on the tier, say smoke shop, THCA delivery. What's the steps to that? Because I think that's a new thing a lot of people don't know about. That because of the farm bill, you don't have to do the THC, you could do the THCA delivery in most states. How many states is it? It's like 17 states. I remember you said it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think it's most states. There's only like a few states that aren't allowing THCA,
Okay.
but technically, if it's federally legal, a lot of them aren't allowing THCA flower. A lot of like Georgia, they don't allow THCA flower.
Okay.
They only allow like THCA gummies and vape cartridges and stuff like that. But technically, federal law is supposed to supersede any type of state law or city law.
Okay.
If
So
it's a
so
similar, yeah. So technically, they may not. If it keeps getting put like when a state will ban it. Usually there's a bunch of lawsuits and like it gets pushed up to the Supreme Courts and things like that. So you have to see how it plays out because
no,
technically,
I was saying
yeah,
like how would you knowing all of that, how would a person what would be like steps to
to
like
start at the
yeah,
THCA
to
delivery
start the
company,
THCA delivery business?
you get a laptop, you get a phone, you get a vehicle. You can order from a variety of THCA vendors online that will ship straight to your doorstep. I would first start off with flour because flour is going to be the bulk of your sales, especially if you have a limited budget. So you don't need to go get flour, vape cartridges, edibles, waxes. Just start off with flour. Flour is going to always be your bread and butter. Flour is going to be 50 to 60% of your sales, even if you have all of those other product categories. Start off
Right.
with flour, get you 2, 3 different flavors, maybe a sativa, a hybrid, an indica. You usually want more indicas and hybrids because those are usually more popular. Once you do that, you're pretty much in a ball game. You want to make yourself a Google business page. Um, the Google business page is going to allow customers to find you. Start marketing, friends and family first. It's the same. You can operate the same way as you trap, as someone who traps, but this time you're in the confines of being of operating a business under the regulations. Like you're
Right,
not
under
doing anything
federal law.
illegal.
So
Yeah,
there is
under
no like
federal law.
license I gotta get if I want to do a THCA
I
delivery.
mean, you may want to like look into that, but usually it's like a hemp license that costs like maybe a couple $100s, and it's
Okay.
like a one sheet piece of paperwork. It all depends on your state. Some states, there's probably some states they don't require anything, but it's
Right.
not near the amount of paperwork and the hoops that you got to jump through and things like that. The funding that you have to have in order to operate in a recreational state, like sell regular, what they say, regular weed
Right.
in California. If you want to operate in the rec market in California, that's a whole different ball game. You need lawyers, you need to do all this paperwork. You got to get signed off by the city, the state, the police department, the county. Like, it's all the whole long process that it takes. So by the time you finally are actually legal and have your license, it's already been a year or 6 months.
That's
You
crazy.
spent $30,000 before you even made any type of money.
Right. But with this THCA delivery, I could make my bags or purchase my flower and start marketing.
Yeah. And a lot of times what I would suggest, you leverage bigger brands that are playing in the THCA space. Cookies. Okay. There's a brand called Sluggers. There's a lot of Pure Beauty. There's a lot of regular cannabis brands that are on the rec side that also have like a THCA branch.
Okay.
So what would be smart is to leverage those brands who already spend millions of dollars in marketing. They already created a customer base. So now you are leveraging that in order to start your business. So it's like you're not starting off from the ground level. You already have some sort of a foundation because you have products and you carry brands that people already are looking for and that what they want.
Right. And this is all legal. Like,
it's all legal
because of that 2018 Farm Bill. Bro, that's crazy because I remember after 2018, you started seeing a lot more CBD, hemp products, different things. And I didn't know that was connected to
the
what we talking about.
And then they stumbled across the THCA loophole in about, I think it was like 2021. That's kind of like when THCA got started picking up. And then now you have these companies that there's one called Bay Smokes. They make over $100 million a year.
Okay.
And they're online. They don't do delivery. They don't have a retail store. They're all online. They ship it. They have customers that purchase wholesale, retail. They ship it to people's doors. It's all e-commerce. It's just an e-commerce business making over $100 million a year.
That's dope, bro.
So that would be the best one because it's like you're cutting out a lot of the headache, a lot of the overhead of having a retail store, and you're playing into the digital age. Like everything is going towards e-commerce. Like people don't go to malls anymore. People don't shop at stores. Yeah, there is some niche stores, but in general, where do you get most of your stuff from? Amazon. If you need something real fast, I'm gonna just order it on Amazon. I'm not even gonna, or you DoorDash it, or you Uber Eats it. You know what I mean? Everything is going digital. Everything is, people want things like this at the click of a button. Or even though if you order it online, okay, it's gonna take a couple of days, but at least I didn't have to go and wait.
Yeah, I didn't have to do anything. It just come right to the door.
That's why delivery is still a great option, because delivery allows for on demand.
Right.
So, and a lot of people, when they smoke weed, most people who consume weed don't plan and stuff. They usually like, oh shit, I need weed like right now. I want to smoke it right now. Like that's most people.
Right.
So that's where delivery would come and be superior than, compared to e-commerce, because e-commerce, if I order, I'm gonna have to at least wait a couple of days. You know what I mean? Delivery, I can get it within 30 minutes, an hour, depending on how your business is set up.
True. So just to reiterate,
e-commerce, you're able to, how I said retail, you have a 30-mile radius.
Okay.
Delivery, you have maybe like a regional, a city. You can cover a couple cities. You can cover the state, depending on how big your state is. If you're in New Jersey, you probably can cover the state, depending on how many drivers you have. You can cover 300 miles, maybe, if you're in California. E-commerce, you can cover the nation. So imagine the amount of money that opens up when everybody in the nation is my potential customer
Right.
compared to just a 30-mile radius or a couple of cities.
Right. And that's all. That's what I was gonna say. I caught where you was going with it. Like on the tier list, if we talking about the TACA, you know what I'm saying, type of business, the smoke shop will be at the bottom. Then you got the delivery service. Then at the top, you got that e-commerce brand that's utilizing other big brands at the
Well, you
same
can have
time.
your own. You could do that, or you could have your own brand. I mean,
Right.
it just depends. It all depends on how you acquire customers. Like a lot of them now, they run a lot of Facebook ads. That's kind of like the wave. Facebook, Instagram ads. But I mean, there's other ways you can be more creative. Like you can make your own content. You can just make organic content on social media.
Right.
And
Right. Now I saw that. That's why I saw it. I saw it on Facebook. That there's a new company in my region that does the TACA delivery.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
kind of what originally I'm like, okay, what's this? What's going on with this? You had brought up content, and I kind of wanted to talk about the kind of cannabis content and just like what's going on, how it's being treated online, how people are reacting to it, and like what you think about, because it is legal, but for some reason it seems like it's a little bit of backlash with your kind of content.
Like, well, what I do?
Which is period. I mean, like we said, like we talked about previously, on YouTube, that type of content can't be monetized.
Monetized, yeah.
Right. You've had problems with your channel being taken down temporarily. So clearly it's like an issue. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like what you think about that, bro?
I think it's just the stigma of cannabis. So until there's some actual real framework legally. And I'm not talking about THCA, like just cannabis as the average person knows it. Like whether it's officially, like cannabis is officially legal, not through this loophole, the 2018 Farm Bill. Like Trump comes out and it's like, hey, we're signing that, cannabis is officially legalized. Until that happens, it's always going to be like a stigma. No matter how many people smoke, no matter how many people that you would never think consume, whether edibles, vape cartridges, flour, like there's always just going to be a stigma behind it because it locks so many people up. People look at someone who, they marketed it to where if you smoke this plant, you're a bad person, or if you sell this plant, you're a bad person. So it's just and that's years and decades and decades. So it's always going to have this stigma. So that's why a lot of these platforms, they're not so inviting when it comes to it. Yeah, they say, oh yeah, you can post educational content as long as you don't solicit to sell. But I've seen people who never ever solicited sell and they still get their page taken down, or their videos get demonetized. Like YouTube literally says you can make content revolving around cannabis that is educational as long as you are soliciting the sale of it. I don't smoke on my channel.
Right.
There's YouTubers that do smoke on their channel that congest, gummies, whatever, reviews, all that.
Hey, I was gonna say, didn't Joe Rogan and Elon Musk smoke on the show?
Yeah, they do. And I wonder if his gets demonetized. So I don't know if it's like, because Joe Rogan has millions. So it's like they'll let him do whatever he wants because he drives so much business for YouTube. But of course, smaller people, it's like we don't have that same pool. We don't have that same network to like tell YouTube, well, I mean, if Joe Rogan could say, oh, if you don't allow me to smoke and for it to be monetized, I'm gonna just go stream and go post my videos somewhere else. So it's like, what am I gonna say? And
now, I thought it was interesting because like I said, our last interview, it got demonetized, and I filled out all the correct information. I thought we were giving out educational information.
Or sometimes even if it's educational, they'll age restrict it.
Right, right.
Well, age restriction. You saw that with my one of my boys, LMC. He made a spray pack documentary and they age restricted it.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's
The
good too,
game was
bro.
really just educational. Like
Hey,
nobody.
shout out, bro, man, bro. Hey, I started watching it. It started like they was in New York, and
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
a that was a dope ass documentary that popped up on my feed.
Yeah, it was on the road. It was gonna get like 1 million views, but when they age restricted it, that just cut off all the momentum. So, it's just a thing where it's always gonna be this stigma, and until it's like actually really legalized, like none of these platforms are gonna fully get behind it and support creators like you and me who talk about this subject, and they're never gonna get behind us fully like how they do people doing a little TikTok dances or whatever. Like they'll never fully get behind us.
Right. Now, like I said, I thought we was giving good educational information, legal businesses.
Yeah, it's a business.
These are legal businesses that we're talking about.
Yeah. Cannabis is just the vehicle, but all these same principles that I teach, you can use in any type of business. I'm going to New York on the 13th. Okay. So any brands, calling any brands, distros, dispensaries, cultivators, within the cannabis industry. If y'all want to work, if you want me to do promo for you, if you want me to check out your facilities, to highlight your brand, to showcase what you're about, tap in, man.
Tap in.
THCA, that's the biggest opportunity if you want to get into this space, because there's no barrier to entry. Through the 2018 Farm Bill, cannabis is federally legal. THCA and THC is the same exact thing. It's cultivated the same, it's harvested the same. There's no difference. The only difference is how it's labeled by the testing facilities. THCA is the precursor to THC. That means any type of psychoactive cannabis is THCA.
Right.
Same exact thing. There's zero difference at all. It's not cut earlier, nothing. There's not some type of magical growing technique.
Yeah, I heard that one too. It was like it was cut before it cured or something like that.
No, because then it wouldn't if you cut the flower early, then it's not gonna reach its full potential and get all the cannabinoids and terps and stuff like that. Right. So you would be doing more damage to the flower if you cut it early, because it would be not fully matured.
Right. So that wouldn't even be THC.
It would be less THC.
Right.
If you cut it early, or there would be less THCA. So it's not cut early. There's zero difference. It's the same exact things. They already legalized THC. So that's why this is the greatest opportunity if you are a trapper, if you're looking to get into this industry, because with $10,000, you can start a THCA delivery service in your hometown, or you can continue what you're currently doing, but now you have something that's called COAs that's going to protect you in the instance of law enforcement coming and saying that you're doing something illegal. No, you have COAs that can show that, hey, this is within the confines of the 2018 Farm Bill that was signed in by Donald Trump, that made hemp federally legal, which hemp and cannabis are the same things. The only thing that defines hemp or separates hemp from cannabis is that it's underneath the is either 0.3% THC or less.
Okay. Now explain them COAs real quick, bro. Explain them COAs.
Oh, it's just like when the certificate of analysis. So when you finish, trimming it and everything, you take a sample to the testing lab, and then they test it to make sure that it doesn't have like the pesticides, heavy metals. So it's a third party testing facility that tests it. So it's not like I'm the grower and then I test it myself. So of course I'm going to say, oh yeah, it doesn't have. No, you have to take it to a third party facility. You know, you have to get all all the batches, samples from all the batches. Then a third party testing lab, gives you make sure that it doesn't have any heavy metals, the pesticides, and then it tests for the THC percentage or the THCA percentage.
Right.
However they want to label it.
Right.
Because it's the same thing.
Right. So when you carry that document, that's like your paperwork. If the police was ever to be like, yo, you selling drugs.
Yes, because there's been situations where people were transporting across state lines THCA flower, transporting it across state lines. They got pulled over by the police and they had their COAs, and the police literally could not do anything to them because it's federally legal.
Wow.
They have all their proof. There's nothing that they can do. And they already know that if they did try to prosecute them, okay, now they're doing all this paperwork for a case that's just going to get thrown out.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I've heard of situations like this. 18-wheelers of THCA transporting it across state lines, get pulled over. Police can't do anything if they had their COAs.
Right.